So Vivian's pawpaw tree fell over and she was left with all these green pawpaws.
I assumed you'd be making a story.
And that's Vivian, owner of said pawpaw tree. And this is Barb, who lives just around the corner from me. So today we're going to put these green papayas to use. G'day folks, Andy here from McDowell Manor. Okay, so I've got 3 recipes and I'll put links in the bottom. Pickled green papaya salad. Now I'm not going to make the salad, but I do want to make the pickle. Pawpaw and chili chutney and green papaya relish. So the ladies are de-skinning, de-seeding and coarsely chopping 1.5 kilos roughly, because my scales just ran out of battery. In preparation for one for the chutney, one for the relish. And I'm about to grate one papaya for the pickle. So the pickle was actually pretty straightforward and simple. It's just a case of grate it, make a very standard vinegar, you know, virtually half vinegar, half water, bit of salt, bit of sugar mix, cook up the cooking solution, boil it so that there's no bacteria, and by my estimation we'll end up with about 3 jars of that. Make sure you give it a good bang around. It's well packed in there. Give it a good bang to make sure there's no air in there. So that's the chutney. Now I know I haven't shown you a lot of how we, put it together, but that's because I've linked the recipe. If you want to look at the recipe, that's easy. So what I want to do though is I will add, and the recipe didn't say anything about this, as it boils down, because you want to make sure this is very tender. As it boils down, I found I had to add a bit of extra water just to keep it sort of, so it wasn't going to stick and go burn. This one over here is the relish. It's pretty looking, isn't it? It's just sort of puttering along. It was a lot slower, so it's only been on probably 20 minutes or so. But that's the 2 of those ones prior to bottling. So that's the chutney bottled up. So really it was 4 bottles, and that's kind of a half bottle. That was just the leftovers. I wanted to put it in something. It's a nice sweet chutney. I really quite like it. Now I'll show you the relish again. You can see he's still cooking. But I tell you what, if it's half as good as the bloody chutney, I'll be as happy as a pig in mud. I've also now had to add a whole lot of water to this. So a big cup, that's not a standard size cup. There's my hand. So quite a big cup of water went in there. And I'll keep an eye on it like I did with the chutney. Tell you what, it's been cooking for almost 2 hours and the green papaya's not looking like it's getting soft yet. So I'll keep going. I'm on about the bloody 5th cup of that water I was talking about. So that bottle there is the chutney. Quite sweet. But you can see the relish has now been bottled. A much bigger bottle. Much fatter. Probably, I don't know, wouldn't like to try to guess. That's probably 400 ml. And that'll be 500 is my rough, very rough guess. Don't trust me on it. So I ended up with 5 bottles of the relish. Now talk about 2 different beasts. The chutney, as I said, is quite sweet. It's very nice, lovely stuff. Oh, look at that. It looks like homemade rum and homemade cake. Anyway, the relish isn't anywhere near as sweet, but it's quite a delightful, very interesting flavour, which is really great. So I can see they're 2 quite different use condiments. So I'm quite happy with that, in fact. And Vivian was good enough to leave me with a couple of extras, so I'll use them. I'll probably make chutney. I think that pips the post for me, probably because I'll get the most use out of that. But the relish really is quite delightful, and I'm not going to diss it. So what's interesting was I did all 3 recipes, and admittedly I haven't tasted the pickle yet. I expected to say, oh no, look, this one's terrible, that one's terrible. So far, if the pickle's as good as these 2, we're laughing. Everyone's a winner, baby. So what I'll do is we each got a bottle of pickle. I think I'll give 2 bottles of the relish to Barb because there's her and a partner and a couple of people. So I'll keep 2 and I'll give 1 to Vivian. Mind you, it may well take you 3 years, Vivian, to eat 1 bottle, but don't worry about that. And I'll do the same with the chutney. Although this one really doesn't count because she's a little one. So there you go. And I'm putting it in hot enough that it's actually sealing in the jar, so it should well keep. It's very acidic, so I'm not worried about pressure canning it because it's got all that vinegar in it. So yeah, what an amazing experiment. Taste is lovely. Now, I'm not sure about the texture, and I'm not going to know that until I actually crack it and use it. I have taste tested the spoon. Like I say, quite delightful. Now, if I'm not keen on the texture, get ready for this technical thing, I'll just stick a stick blender in there, blend it to make the bit smaller, and rebottle it. How good is that? Anyway, so if you've enjoyed it, I know I didn't do this as we normally do a cooking video. What my aim was to show you when you've got things that are well and truly surplus, and potentially initially you might think, what am I going to do with all these damn green, hopeless pawpaws that we'll never use? My aim was to show you there's a whole lot of potential, really good uses for this. So hopefully that's inspired you a bit, and you have a good one, eh? Hooroo.